Considering these things, it is not difficult to resolve the objections raised against the aforesaid union. For in the first reason it is supposed to be false. For the body and the soul are not two actually existing substances, but from the two they become one actually existing substance. For the body of man is not the same when the soul is actually present and absent, but the soul makes it actually exist. Now it is secondly objected that form and matter are contained in the same genus, not so true as if both were species of one genus, but because they are the principles of the same species. Thus, therefore, the intellectual substance and the body, which would exist separately as species of different kinds as they are united, are of one kind as principles. But it is not necessary for an intellectual substance to be a material form, although its being is in matter, as the third reason proceeded. For it is not immersed in matter as in matter, or entirely comprehended by matter, but in another way, as has been said. And yet by the fact that the intellectual substance is united to the body as a form, it is not removed that which is said by the philosophers, that the intellect is separated from the body. For it is in the soul to consider both its essence and its power. According to his essence, indeed, he gives his being to such a body, but according to his power, he accomplishes its proper operations. If, therefore, the operation of the soul is completed through a bodily organ, it must be that the power of the soul, which is the principle of that operation, is the act of that part of the body through which its operation is completed, just as sight is the act of the eye. But if his operation is not completed by a bodily organ, his power will not be the act of any body, and by this means the intellect is said to be separated. Not that the substance of the soul, of which the power of the intellect is, or the intellectual soul, is the act of the body which gives form to the existence of such a body. Now it is not necessary, if the soul according to its substance is the form of the body, that all its activity be done through the body, and thereby all its power be the act of some body, as the fifth reason proceeded. For it has already been shown that the human soul is not such a form as is completely immersed in matter, but is, among all other forms, the most elevated above matter. Hence it can also produce operation without a body, that is, as if not dependent on the body in operating, because it does not even depend on the body in being. In the same way, it is clear that the facts with which Averroes tries to confirm his opinion do not prove that the intellectual substance is not united to the body as a form. For the words of Aristotle which he says about the possible intellect, which is impassive and unmixed and separate, do not compel us to confess that the intellectual substance is not united to the body as it is to give form. For they are verified even if it is said that the intellectual power, which Aristotle calls the perspectival power, is not the act of some organ as if it were exercising its operation through itself. And this also is made clear by his demonstration. For from the intellectual operation, by which he understands all things, he shows that he himself is mixed or separated, but the operation belongs to the power as to the principle. Hence it is clear that Aristotle's demonstration does not conclude that the intellectual substance is not united to the body, as is the form. For if we suppose the substance of the soul to be thus united to the body, but the intellect to be the act of no organ, it does not follow that the intellect has any nature, I mean sensible natures, since there is no harmony or reason of any organ, as Aristotle says of sense in 2 De Anima, which is a kind of system of the organ. For the intellect has no common operation with the body. Now that by saying that Aristotle says that the intellect is mixed or separated, he does not mean to exclude that it is a part or power of the soul, which is the form of the whole body, is clear from what he says at the end of the first chapter on the soul, against those who said that the soul in different parts of the body is different from itself to have parts. If the whole soul contains the whole body, it also follows that each of the parts contains something of the body. But this seems impossible. For what part or how the intellect contains, it is difficult to imagine. It is also clear that since the intellect is an act of no part of the body, it does not follow that its reception is the reception of primary matter, since its reception and operation is entirely without a bodily organ. Nor is the infinite virtue of the intellect taken away, since virtue is not placed in greatness, but is founded on intellectual substance, as has been said.